Oh, so why is that? Oh, so that needs to go. Right in toast.
Okay.
So I'll be back.
Okay. Right. Yep. Completely.
Let's turn this over. That's a bit better.
I can see you.
Yep.
Do me press live?
That's okay. Lovely. Thank you anyway.
Okay.
This Monday night sprint weekend similar, which obviously is hosted by Cheltenham and obviously for Phoenix Racing. In fact, whilst we are waiting, I'll quickly go through the round 2 and round 1 results. So, from round 1, Clark was the winner. He won, the first race, with then in P2 as well. From round 2, your winner was Chartman, then in Qatar. Not sure why we ain't got Austria. So this is technically round 4. It will be then this evening, which didn't realise. But yeah, standings I don't think are completely up to date. I don't think, which is a bit of a shame. But right now we have to assume the Red Bull driver of Fock is winning the championship right now after his performances in round 1s and round 2. Not sure though. Divine, however, is second, only 12 points behind. Not sure if he's closed that gap, which obviously we'll have to find out. But yeah, that'll just have to wait for next week. Not sure if we're waiting on anyone. So yeah, we will just wait and see. We are taking a bit of time to ready up, but yeah, I think we might be starting 8:10 p.m. So I've just started the stream a bit early.
NJ. Both Martin. Martin and NJ.
So, I think we are now readying up, which is good to see. So, obviously, race will begin. Obviously, we do have a sprint. Not sure why we don't have qualifying, or must be a sprint weekend, of course, or a sprint race this week. But yeah, nonetheless, not really too sure what the grid will be ultimately. So we're just going to have to wait and see upon this, but we will find out what the grid is then, and we will obviously go racing for, well, around the Zandvoort circuit. Obviously, sprint won't probably include any stops. If you do see anyone come into the pit lane, obviously that usually will indicate they've got a problem in a sprint race, probably a broken front wing. However, the main race, I think it'll be probably a one stop, maybe a close call two stop race, to be fair. Could be a bit of a split strategy between the two, but I think it will be, in general terms, a one stop race. Most races on the F1 game are obviously a one stop. So, yeah. Not many races, I don't think, in the F1 game you can do really two stop as a viable strategy option. So drivers will select their tyres. Obviously, for sprint, I imagine everyone will be either on the softs or mediums. Probably softs would be my tyre of choice, only because, you know, softs do give you the benefit of extra grip, of course, and you know, are just a better tyre for a short distance race. Obviously, only 12 laps that the drivers have to do, so there's not many laps that they'll be, you know, on those tyres anyway for. And softs, okay, they might die towards the middle of the race, like towards lap 8 or lap 5. Well, not 5, but lap 8 towards the end of the race. You know, you're still going to benefit from the first 8 laps anyway, so if you make the softs work, the 8 laps, you know, over the medium compound, there is obviously that higher advantage to be had on them. But anyway, we will go racing in a very, very short while for Phoenix Racing, and hopefully it'll be a good, enjoyable
Of course, gone on
Formula
back
One
speakers.
or sprint that this evening on the F1 game.
That's better.
right, the formation lap is underway. I think it's formation lap, unless everyone's got a super clean start, which obviously this then will be the first opportunity we can go through the grid. It is a reverse grid from the championship standings, so really this is actually pretty much championship standings that you have. So Brass Monkeys in first from Brown, then we've got Joby in third, then we've got AP in fourth, Mew comes in fifth, then Raidabouts in sixth, Sparrow seventh, and NJMC 2196 is in 8th. Then Martino is in 9th, followed by Divine, then Maurice is in 11th, Chapman in 12th, the Red Bull driver is in 13th, and then Eggerman will round out the back of the grid in 14th then for this race. So that is your starting order, that is the grid. In terms of fast strategy, let's get some data up so we at least know what everyone is doing. Not sure you need track map, obviously. Possible race strategies, obviously Zero Swap, as I say, will be basically the race stuff. So right, anyway, we're going to soon go to the racing, and this race will be underway for then the Zandvoort for the Netherlands, for the Dutch Grand Prix, and everyone is pretty much on the softs. It's a bit of a split strategy, to be fair. There is a few out there on mediums, but majority have opted for soft tyre. So the last car is now in position, and we shall have then the starting procedure on, and the lights are now on. It is then lights out, and away we go then for then the Dutch Grand Prix. And by the looks of it, Brown has got a good start. Down the inside he will go at turn 1. Takes a lovely line through there. Unfortunately, one of the Ferraris, or the only Ferrari, has spun, but Brown got away very, very nicely then. A little bit of contact as we head through the banking then. Pretty sure that's the Tarzan corner. I could be wrong actually. The Tarzan might be a little bit further on in the track. We did see a Aston Martin, I think it was, go off the track. I'm not entirely too sure. But then the Aston Martin is still there, so not entirely lost it overall. But NJMC has gone down the inside of Joby, and that allows him. Fox is already made up for then 7 positions off the start here. That is pretty much the ideal racing start he needs, as then someone's slipping off to the gravel, and Joby's gone around the outside, and we've got a virtual safety car. But for the 2 McLarens, they've got an absolute whopper of a lead overall. Them 2 McLarens really taken off. However, Fox, he's really the big winner of then this entire lap 1, because he's really, you know, pretty much gone up already to third. So made up 10 positions already in this race, and we're only on lap 2. But if the race was to finish like this, I'm pretty sure he'd be absolutely thrilled and delighted with the progress he made, because obviously we do have a full race to come after this, don't forget. And ultimately, with he already in third, I know he probably will want to go and win it, but a huge lead, or huge gain he's made already on the lap 1 of the Grand Prix. After just just under 1 lap for racing, and unfortunately Joby's got a drive-through. Not sure whether Brown has picked up a drive-through too. Gonna have a look. Indeed he has. So to be fair, with then Hawk, he could be battling for what is P2 in this race here. So who takes the lead of the Grand Prix then in lap 2 of this race? So we've still got McLaren leading. However, obviously not sure if that's going to be a positive or a negative. Obviously Ocean Brown has got, or Oren Brown has got obviously a drive-through to serve at some point during this race, of course, and he will have to serve that by the time at least we get to the end of, I think, lap 5, so he will have to come into the pit lane. Obviously Fox about 3.5 seconds behind the leader, so that's the gap then. So really that's the gap between P1 and P2, as Maurice then comes round the banking and no one really making any moves in these now couple of laps. I think we also saw Chartman also serve the drive-through, so Chartman's decided to come in at the first possible opportunity then here. Obviously he's probably fighting now with Joby probably for that P12. Pretty much is going to be the battle for the wooden spoon, but down the inside Eggman then goes and he's up into 7th, and so is NJM. He's also up into 8th, so Williams Sparrow going a bit wide at the apex and almost across the gravel. So down the inside, Redabouts goes, cuts across the Williams driver's front wing, but that's all clean. Part of racing, ultimately didn't make any contact, just went a bit deep and got the move done. So Martino and Divine going to have probably the weekly battle out on the track. Obviously them two quite the rivals probably in this Division 2 league. Here we have in Phoenix. Them two do love a good battle on race day, and obviously I'm sure they will go at it again. Joby's into the pits then. Currently Divine leads the way on this lap 5. He's currently he's currently in the pits at the moment, and looking to chase down Maurice, who is currently in 4th, and obviously he of course is going to be now in the podium spot of 3rd, so that will be the battle for the final podium spot. Obviously we've still got a bit of work to make up, almost about 2.5 seconds to his rival, but he can obviously do it. Certainly a quick driver, certainly I know that from my experience, and certainly know he's got the pace if necessary to do that, to bag home those points if necessary from Divine. Nonetheless, Martino is doing well though in 5th place then at the moment, and someone's taken a lot of polystyrene board with them, and not sure who, but someone did. Might have been actually Fox, who's actually dropped down a position. I think he might have gone a bit wide at some point, because yeah, he's now behind Maurice, and currently the gap out front for Mahu is absolutely a lovely lead now of 4.5 seconds. I think he's pretty much got this one covered, besides for the fact if there's a safety car, of course, late on in the race, in this sprint. But currently all drivers are driving absolutely pitch perfectly and cleanly right now, which is great to see. Martino looking very, very strong on the straight, as Martino accidentally hits the back of Divine, and that's given Martino front wing damage, and now Martino is off the track and has lost out 2 positions to both Eggman and to both NJMC. So them two have been promoted up positions. Currently Red Bull running 3rd and 4th. Alfa Romeo are currently in 2nd and 5th at the moment. McLaren in 1st and 10th in this race then. So the battle for then P4 will rage on, and currently this will be between Eggman and NJM. No, it won't be, because I think NJM here just clipped the rear end of Eggman, and unfortunately he's tagged himself around them there, and unfortunate that is for the Alfa Romeo driver. But nonetheless, Redabouts will be pleased that he's now made up a position then here, as we've got Brown overtaken Sparrow, and however Brown's got another penalty. So Martino's in the pit lane, obviously going to be stopping because of that broken front wing. Doesn't really feel he would have probably enough pace to competitively get to the end of this race. So he's decided to make a pit stop to probably replace that front wing and get on a new set of tyres. Personally, I'm not really sure if I would retire in the pit lane at this rate, because obviously for him he's going to be a long way off. I suppose it's still a bit to race for. Obviously, he could still finish 9th, but obviously he will spend another set of tyres in doing so. I don't see him getting anything beyond 9th, unfortunately for him. So for Martino, that's really pretty much all he can ensure himself today. Is 9th place as Oren Brown makes up another position then on his rival up to 7th. So his comeback charge is now on, trying to score McLaren, well, the best possible points here in the sprint. Obviously, sprint points, obviously, I'm pretty sure it's just the usual standard 1 to 8 for the sprint, and then for the main race it is again pretty much 25 down to 10th only scoring or whatever. I'm not entirely sure. It might be actually all drivers getting points. To be fair, I should know this. I've been part of the league long enough, and I don't know how many points everyone gets, but oh well. Still, nonetheless, forget the points. Just enjoy the racing, as Martino has made up the position. Oh yes, his rival's in the pit lane. So pretty much it's only then Oren catching the line at the moment. He's a really fierce threat in this race. Obviously both of them got the same amount of lap tyres. Obviously Divine does have the advantage in the sense of tyre wear, but does have a bit of wing damage, does he? No, not quite. Well, he did. From one of the angles, looked like he had a bit of end plate missing, but nope, that isn't the case, and he will continue on. But he's catching actually Redabouts a little bit, so them two kind of catching each other. Gap out front is also coming down a bit. We'll keep an eye on that. That's now down to 3 seconds. Obviously, there is still plenty of time for Mahoo to keep that lead up there. Probably, at least, if it don't come down more than half a second a lap, then we know he's not in trouble. If it does come down by half a second a lap, might be in a bit of trouble, our race leader here. Still, gap though between these 3 is now starting to just shrink a lot, and Divine is getting himself back into this one, and he's chasing down them 5 at the moment, and what would be 5th place in this race. So obviously that will be something he wants. Now we'll get the DRS, I'm pretty sure, yep, and that will help his cause a little bit. Currently not close enough, nowhere near close enough to even think about the lunge, but well, along this straight might get a bit closer now with the DRS enabled and open on his rear wing, so that might just help him out a little bit more compared to previous laps. So lap 10, only 3 laps to go. Currently gap out front is 2.9, so that gap hasn't really come down by anything at all. Pretty much that gap has stabilised. Currently this is the only real meaningful battle on the track at the moment between Redabouts and Divine. And Oren Brown, who is catching also. Martino has checked out from NJM, who is ahead of Sparrow, but to be fair, they're all on similar lap life tyres and won't be gaining anything. And Trotman, unfortunately, having a bit of a lonely race at the back today, as Joby has retired in the pit lane then here on this occasion. So yeah, for Joby, he is out of this race, but that probably isn't the worst anyway scenario. He was only running in 13, so yeah, not gonna miss out on too much, I suppose. So your two leads then this race by 2.9 seconds, and Redabouts and Divine. Divine might have just had another moment at turn 1. That's allowed Owen up into the top 6 then, and he's now the car behind. Not sure if actually Redabouts has also had a moment, because maybe they've had a bit of a coming together actually, which we may have accidentally missed, because he's also dropped a bit of time to the McLaren. So yeah, I'm only going to put 2 and 2 together, and potentially a bit of coming together for Divine and for Oren, who has had a moment at turn 1. So lap then 12 for our race leader, who is starting his final lap of the race. Then here, driven pretty much pitch perfectly so far in this sprint, hasn't made an error really that we've seen, and currently on course to win the sprint from Maurice from Fock, who will be delighted, I'm pretty sure still, with the 3rd place. It's probably a brilliant result considering where he started, overall 13th, and then Eggerman also getting a very good result for Red Bull Val. Increased points in the constructors, got a bit short though. But this is the battle then for then P5. Who's going to get it between these two? Is it going to be then Oren, or is it going to be Redabouts? And Redabouts is off the circuit, and he is now behind the McLaren driver. The McLaren driver, by the time we get to the apex, is now ahead and is pulling away. But back out in front, it's the McLaren driver of Mahoon, not his teammate, going to take the victory in the sprint from Maurice, from Fock then, who's coming around the final bank turn then, and he will come home in P3. Eggerman will be P4 for Red Bull as well, and Oren is going to come home in P5. Redoubt is in then P6, Divine P7. Then we've got a bit of a wait back. Divine actually promoted up into P6 now. But we've got a bit of a wait, obviously, back to Martino, who comes eventually home, weaving and waving in P8. P9 goes to NJM. Sparrow is 10th. Sharpman will take home then 11th. Let's see, he comes around the final corner. And finally, AP is your final finisher of the sprint in P12. So that is the sprint done, and we will now move on to the main race.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Don't worry about the milkshake. After.
Is that finished now?
No, that was a sprint.
Okay.
So, that was the sprint, and we are now going to go into the main race, and we will have 36 laps. So, obviously, sprints are only 1/3 of the full race distance of obviously the race you do. So obviously if it's 50%, 1/3 of that is 12. So it'd be 12 times 3, 36. Of course. And well, drivers will have to at least stop once onto 2 different compounds. Don't look like there's any rain, so therefore, you know, obviously they will have to use either medium hards, medium softs, soft hards. You know, you get the picture, of course. And then, well, pretty much go racing, really, ain't it? Just waiting upon the drivers to do what the drivers need to do. So, we are obviously waiting, and formation lap will begin now, once again.
Right, let's get the car up,
Drivers
temperature
will
on
go
flat, please. We're
round
loading the gears, so let's go through all we
their
can.
formation laps. So, we'll get the tyre graphic up. So, our race leader has opted for the softs. Maurice has gone for hards. Then we've got Fox in mediums, Eggman on mediums, so both Red Bulls on mediums, Divine on softs, Martino softs, NJMC softs, then mediums. Then we've got Sparrow mediums, and then Chartman AP, Joby, and Brass Monkeys is in or on softs all at the back there. So majority again going for the soft tyres. Obviously 2 have already unfortunately not been able to complete the formation lap, so their tyres are going to be fairly cold off the start of this race. Pretty much going to have no grip going into turn 1, or maybe the first few corners, unfortunately for their race. So how they hold on will be a mystery, but for the others, they will have, you know, tyres to use. Now, does Mahu back up the pack a little bit, because he's got a bit of a gap back to the car behind, and sort of pretty spread out. However, not too spread out, I suppose. Obviously, the last guy is coming through the final turn now, but he's going to be waiting a little bit of time for car number 2 on the grid position, and unfortunately for him, he's completely missed his grid box. So Maurice falls into the grid position. Does he get perfect? Yeah, it looks pretty perfect to me, that one does. About our championship leader, does he get perfect? Looks pretty perfect to me as well. Still, we'll go then to the green. And here we go then. The lights are on for the second time today, and it's go, go, go for the racers then in Phoenix Racing, and this time the McLaren getting a good start from pole position, but Maurice on the inside sends it into turn 1. They're still side by side through turns 1 and 2. Red Bull holding back from one another, protecting maybe a little bit from each other on this race start, but you can only do so much protecting because Red Bull is about to try and go up the inside, but has he got it? And unfortunately, bit of contact between NJ and Red Alps, and Divine is through, but Red Alps is tumbling down the order as he went off then there, but he has come back on, only losing track position. NJ has spun it around. This is absolutely crazy racing in the opening first lap. Everyone not really giving each other enough racing respect, in my opinion, to be fair. Everyone's just sort of sending it on everyone. Need to probably calm it down, they do a little bit, but yeah, nonetheless, on lap 2 of this race, or about to go on to lap 2, no safety car, which is good, so everyone has managed to, well, keep it fairly clean, as Red Alps going off the circuit behind Brass Monkeys, his teammate then, and on to lap 2 then we go. Our race leader then, Mahoo then, who's pretty much led every single lap of today so far, is leading still out front. Obviously does have a tyre advantage, significant tyre advantage at the moment, being on those softs, but that's the hards. The hards won't be as effective. However, on my gap, saying the gap is only 1/10 or 2/10, that's a much bigger gap than 2/10 I can visually see. That's at least, I don't know, 5/10, 6/10 maybe even 8 or 9. It's a fairly sizable gap between them two. No way is that, you know, that gap that's saying. 6/10 seems a bit more realistic. As Spot goes down the inside, has a collision with Maurice. I'm not sure Maurice could have done much more there to give them Red Bull any more space, but he does continue on, only losing time, the Red Bull driver does, to the car ahead. Probably a bit of a desperate move, but Martino then on the charge, and here goes Martino, pulls out behind the Red Bull, down the inside of the Red Bull at turn 1, and the Red Bull's going to get squeezed out, and unfortunately Fock has lost it again and losing another couple positions behind to those behind, of course, and Martino is now up in the 3rd position. Pretty aggressive move, I suppose, but was his corner anyway for Martino, to be fair, probably there. And Martino then on lap then 3 of this race, currently in 3rd. Now, are we going to see someone else go for it? Down the inside, then Eggman goes. However, it's a safety car then in this race, as NJM has crashed out then of the Grand Prix, and that is our first full course yellow of the day. We did have a virtual safety car, but of course that's only like a virtual, to be fair, not really a full-on safety car. Now, for the soft runners, could they come in? Obviously, right now he would lose a lot of positions, but might gain a little bit in terms of strategy. However, I think everyone pretty much is opting to stay out. Divine has decided to come in, so we'll see what Divine is coming in for. However, has picked up a 5 seconds time penalty in the process. So, and Chartman is also in. So Divine's on to the hards. So Divine's opting to go long. Is Chartman's doing the same thing. Chartman's getting also a wind change here, so he'll be in also for a set of mediums. So obviously Chartman will have to stop again. That's the most definite. Divine, I think, will also have to stop again. Going to struggle to do 34 laps on a set of hards, at least competitively, even without safety car. So yeah, Divine and Chartman are probably going to have to stop again. Obviously, Divine can go a little bit deeper and further into the race. Full Chartman obviously is on the set of mediums, so we'll be able to still benefit. Sparrow has not opted to come in, but he is a long way behind, so maybe he'll take the opportunity once he's a bit closer to the back of the pack, and maybe he'll take the opportunity then and there. But yeah, obviously we'll be catching the safety car back now, as they'll all get bunched up, basically racked like a set of snooker balls when you start a new frame, and ultimately for Sparrow he'll be quite happy, quite pleased that he's back in the contention, back in the hunt, because obviously he was running quite a lonely and long distance way down in 13th. However, for a race leader, he probably will be one of the least happier people out there, because he did have a 2-second lead, and now all that hard work he did in the opening 2 laps or so has, unfortunately for him, evaporated. So, we are on lap 5. The cars have all been bunched up now, so probably safety car will be in at the end of this lap. There's no reason for it to not be. However, you never know. Obviously, Formula 1 game does throw sometimes bigger surprises in store. But yeah, safety car should be in theory at the end of this lap. And there we go, that's the safety car in this lap message. So, safety car will peel off into the pit lane, and it'll be Mahoo's job to re-wrap the group, or to restart this race, and for him, he will obviously have control of the pace. However, not giving the safety car much of clearance to disappear down the road. Is still pretty much following the safety car very, very closely, which obviously is his prerogative technically. Can't obviously go until in the pit lane. He has gone a bit early, which is going to cause a bit of chaos though, ultimately, because obviously the, what do you call it? He really shouldn't have done that in my opinion. That was, I'm not going to say dangerous or silly, but it was, how can you put it? Probably not the smartest way to restart the race, and consequently has lost the lead of the Grand Prix. Do have a yellow flag out so far for rookies and Bosch, and actually talking of Bosch, he's actually spun all the way around. I'm not sure if he's got any damage, but that's going to potentially cost him a huge haul of points, and we might have a second safety car here because Eggman, his teammate, is out of this Grand Prix. It is only being covered with a caution in yellow in sector 2, but yeah, don't seem like we've got a safety car, so it looks like we might be in the clear then here for that, and the drivers will be allowed to continue on without any further delay. So we won't have a second safety car, or at least not yet. So Eckerman is out, but for Bosch, he is pretty much long way down. But Joby has now retired, and that is what causes the second safety car. So we will have a second safety car. Now, will we see any drivers that didn't stop in the last safety car and decide now is the time to do so? And we are seeing quite a flurry of cars come in, or a couple of cars at least. So Martino, what is he going to go on to? He's going to go on to a set of the hard, and we've also got AP, he's in the pit lane. Also on for medium, Arrow, he's in as well. He will also make his stop now, and he's going for a new front wing change, but also going on to, is that a new set of softs, or is that hard? That's hard. And in fact, Gross Monkeys is going for a set of the softs. So, yeah, set of softs for Gross Monkeys. Fock, though, I suppose this isn't the worst actual scenario, because even though he lost a lot of positions on that restart, having a terrible restart there, getting into a bit of bother, but for him, he will obviously probably have repaired whatever car damage he had, and is now on a set of tyres that probably could go to the end of the Grand Prix from here and do so competitively. For Divine also and Chartman, this has actually worked out quite nicely in their favour, because they wouldn't have lost out too much in stopping under that first safety car anyway. So once again, we will await the safety car to come back into the pit lane. Obviously waiting upon Brass Monkeys to catch up to the back of the pack, which he will do. And once he's done that, then obviously we will go racing once more. And it will be this time Maurice's job to do the restart. Can he do a better restart than what Mahoo did? Because obviously Mahoo didn't really do a good restart, I don't think, the last time. Sorry to say. For me, what he did wrong was should have probably backed up the pack more and let the safety car get away from him. And then as soon as he knew the safety car was at a far enough distance, well, what the game does, at least in this game, it sort of like applies a brake to the throttle. So it throttle limits you. So effectively, you can't go up any more speed. So yeah, it slows you down, of course. And I suppose what I'm saying is, you know, that's what Mahoo did wrong. He didn't really let the safety car go far enough ahead of himself, and effectively his throttle weren't letting him pick up any speed, so therefore poor Maurice, who was behind, obviously all he had to do was stay behind close enough and obviously benefited. So Maurice is letting the safety car go a bit further this time, so it will be his safety car restart then. Let's see what he does. And yeah, he is letting the safety car go a bit more, which is good to see, because that's what you need to do. You need to let the safety car get away from you before you decide to go. You need to let the safety car get to the pit lane, because as soon as it's in the pit lane, then you can go. Pretty much. That is the rule, actually, in Formula 1. You cannot go before the safety car reaches pit lane. And the safety car has reached the pit lane now, so Maurice can go whenever he likes. I think he's going to wait until the line. Obviously, Oren is waiting a little bit, or trying to catch out his teammate, but that was a good safety car restart there. Well, was a bit of a long hold, but you know, he done well, kept it clean and got going then there nicely, and that is a good one from him, from our race leader. So we are back to then normal racing conditions. So Divine then is probably on the best tyres inside the top 4 of the drivers overall, and we've got another driver out, and it's Spock, our championship leader, and we've got a virtual safety car then. So not even half a lap of racing overall. So lap 9, and we're on our third virtual. So, who will be the next driver to DNF? We've already had 4 DNFs. Please, no one else DNF. We don't need these DNFs. You know, we've already had 2 safety cars within a very short period of time. Need more racing, please. That would be the best thing. But Mercedes are in a good position here. Paul Charman obviously will have to stop again, but he is still nonetheless in a decent position out of it. Isn't in a bad position from Charman. So none of the leaders have stopped. Obviously they're going for quite a large offset, and Charman looking at going down the inside on his teammate. Don't want to make contact between them two, but they are seasoned racers. And we've got another car in the background, Sparrow, hitting the barrier and tumbling down the order. That will allow well, Pino potentially to get up the order a little bit more. I'm not really too sure. Pino is at the back of those, having a bit of a nightmarish race, unfortunately for him. But Charman making a lovely move on his teammate. Obviously, he is on the fresher soft tyres, or medium tyres, sorry. But yeah, does have the tyre advantage. Probably got the grip advantage as well. Right, is he going to go for a move on Oren? No, decides just to hang out for a little bit more. But he will have a better exit then, and you see AP in the background also having a look. Obviously he's on 3 lap hold mediums. They would be really, really competitive. Then AP will be to go fight in this race. For Oren, he's going to have a lot of pressure then to deal with here from Charman. Charman using a lot of his battery early on and Oren has decided to come into the pits then, but in doing so he's picked up a 5-second time penalty, and that is going to be costly to his race. So there's our two race leaders, Mahu and Maurice, then there, fighting it out for the honours at the moment. Obviously, Oren has pitted, so therefore he has made his stop. Who's in the best position at the moment? Honestly, I'm not entirely sure. You know, I feel like Divine's in a good position, I feel like Sharpman's in a good position, but then I feel like the two race leaders could be in a good position as well, in some sense. It really does depend, like, very, very dependable, this race, on a lot of different variables, which are still yet, I think, to play out here in the Netherlands for this race. Then. So, Mahu and Morris fighting for the lead of the Grand Prix. To be fair, for Mahu to be still fighting on those 10 lap pole stops, I know we haven't really had much racing overall, but for him to be still fighting competitively is actually quite the impressive drive he's doing, and he's now going to take the lead of the Grand Prix back on lap 12. So there we go, Mahu back into the Grand Prix lead, back to the front of the pack, and after a few laps of being behind Maurice, he will once again lead then the field away and try and maybe pull out a bit of a gap before he makes his stop. Now, for Mahu, obviously he will be making his stop, I imagine, fairly soon, so I imagine he is probably going to be pushing now in that car fully, just to take out whatever he's got left of those tyres. Hopefully he's got a bit, I'm sure, grip left. Does seem to be able to extend, but if he can pull out maybe at least a few, I don't know, seconds, or maybe a couple of seconds, yeah, to Maurice, then he will be pretty happy and satisfied with that. Currently he's got 6/10, so not sure if he'll be far enough ahead to retain the lead here. It's going to be a bit difficult and a bit close between them two down the back straight, down the main straight here, but we'll have to wait and see. So here comes the Alfa Romeo. Isn't going to be close enough as we get to turn 1, but does close that gap down, obviously, and is now then only 5/10 behind. Good news is, though, they've got decent pace on Sharpman and Divine, who currently are in 3rd and 4th then here in this race. Now, I am interested to see how long the medium runners can go, because obviously there's still a lot of laps left to be worked out on those mediums. I do think obviously Divine will probably have to stop again, but then there is still a chance maybe he won't stop again. Like, there's still over 20 laps to go to as we head on to lap 13 of the Grand Prix. So lap then 13, coming towards the end of it. Right now no one's really making positions, so I'm not really sure what to commentate on, if I'm being brutally honest. Everyone has got the gap, as Divine is going to go now down the inside of his teammate at turn 1, gets the position then done. Sharpman's still going to fight and contest this one potentially, but by the time we get to turn 3, Sharpman knows he has to give that position up to Divine. So that's a good move by Divine, who is now up ahead or behind them race leaders. So he will obviously be trying to close in that gap of 4 seconds to the race leader. Has already taken 30 tenths out, but that's a little bit up again, so let's see what he can do over, I suppose, next few laps of this race. So for Mahu, here's a question of when does he make that stop. Right now it's going really, really long on those softs right now, which is now started his 15th lap of the race. Still showing decent pace on those offs so I suppose he might just be trying to extend. Obviously, I suppose if he can do 14, 15 laps on softs, he probably could do 20 laps on mediums. However, I suppose I suppose there was safety car, so this has helped him out. He probably has had about 4 laps under safety car, so overall we'll just say that the tyre's about 10 laps old without safety cars. But with it, yeah, about 10 laps old, so that's where those tyres are at probably. On the wear.
1.6 seconds.
So lap 15 of the race, and still no movement from the McLaren driver in terms of giving up track position nor coming into the pit lane, and it's still continuing on out there after 16 laps then of racing. 15 laps on those softs, doing a good job in keeping those tyres alive, doing a good job in keeping the pace up out there as well. Currently, if he was to stop, would come out in clean air ahead of P7, I think that's just where he'd come out. Maybe he could come out behind P7, which, however, he probably would overtake quite easily considering the tyre offset he would have to P7. Yeah, roughly 20 seconds down the road, we've got Oren, who I think would right now probably just overtake. So ultimately, maybe if you can just extend for a couple laps. I know Oren would be within the window, but I suppose, do you want to come out with that car right next to you on fresh tyres? Or would you prefer that car, that other car of Oren, your teammate, to be fairly far up the road? In my opinion, you probably want the latter. When I say fairly far, just maybe a couple seconds up the road from you, who's obviously undercutted you on those tyres. So for me, I'd probably want that car be up the road. Obviously, I'm not sure whether he knows how far back his teammate exactly is. Probably doesn't have that data, but yeah, in my opinion, if he comes out a couple seconds behind his teammate, then that would obviously be a good thing. So yeah, for his teammate, then in P7, that's really the battle we're watching as Sparrow making a move on the Brass Monkeys, who is now behind. So Mahu, I think, is now coming in, and there we go. He's actually misjudged where the actual pit lane line is. Comes in maybe a bit cautiously, a bit too cautiously, because he has actually probably lost a little bit of time there, and is a bit of a delay. Not sure if that's actual delay, but yeah, it did look like he came in a bit overly cautious into the pits. Now, what has that done to his race? Obviously, comes out a little bit behind, though. So, maybe without that, I think Mahu probably has lost about a second then there to the race leader. So I think actually Maurice would probably, if he did more mediums, now would come out actually ahead of Mahu. So this could be a really good time for Maurice to come into the pit lane, because I think he might just have to get out. I'm not really entirely sure. The thing is, his tyres is 17 laps old. We'll have to wait and see what he does. How long does he go? Is he going to maybe extend to the point where he can put on a set of softs? that could be his strategy, I suppose, today. For the McLaren pair, now, obviously, Oren will know how old his tyres are, so it'll be interesting to see how much the McLaren pair will squabble, whether or not the McLarens will just work together, because obviously we know Mahoo is the faster of the two at this moment in the race. Probably know he's got the best chance of winning for the McLaren team today. So I'm sure he will already potentially have had the back of his mind, but at the same time he is catching the Ferrari ahead, so yeah, it's a bit of a difficult one. You probably don't want to ever give up track position to anyone, but I suppose giving it up to your teammate is sometimes the best thing. And that's obviously 19. Movement from the leaders, and those McLarens have now swapped position, so no change. So Mahoo is probably now back within the, what you call it, the pit window of the race leader. So 20 seconds is the gap, so I would say it takes around 20 seconds to do a pit stop here. Obviously I do think Mahoo, or I do feel Mahoo did come in a bit overly cautious. So right, AP versus the McLaren of Mahoo, and Mahoo is absolutely flying a 1:12.3, so sets the fastest lap. That's his pace. Obviously there will be a tyre offset between probably the race leader and P2. And the good thing is actually for Oren, letting his teammate through has actually allowed Oren to close up to the back of the Ferrari. So actually that is a really, really nice teamwork and team play there by the McLarens to do that, because obviously he is now Brown behind obviously AP in the Ferrari, and obviously he well will be literally right on the gearbox, and with those fresher 4 lap old tyres, or 4 lap younger tyres, will benefit from a bit more grip out there. But it does go a little bit wide, and will lose a bit of grip from that. So Mahoo is now 17 seconds off the race lead, so he's pulled out a really, really nice undercut here. Obviously, I suppose really the question is obviously how much of an offset does, you know, Maurice give himself? Because obviously right now 2 laps probably isn't going to be enough. So probably will need, I don't know, probably is going to need a good offset to really have a final push in the final part of the race. We'll obviously probably be going to softs now, I am suspecting, for him. As the other McLaren is past the Ferrari now. So Martino has got past Brass Monkeys for 9th. He'll be, I'm sure, satisfied with that performance. Obviously Divine currently is running in P2 at the moment. Obviously his tyres, I'm not sure will be able to make it to the end. Probably could make it to the end. Not sure it would be much of a threat. The only thing though, the Mercedes pairing could become, I don't know, a bit of a awkward pair in this race in terms of who wins it, because it will kind of come down to how quickly can Mahoo get past the Haas and get past Chartman and then get past Divine, essentially. Currently he is 16 seconds now. He is catching those 2 Red Belts and Chartman very, very quickly in this race for 3rd and for 2nd. So yeah, that's where he'll be aiming at least. So gap is now down to 15.6. So when obviously Maurice does come in, he will obviously have an offset of 5 laps, but will be about 6 or 7 seconds behind, which is a fairly sizable gap, obviously, between the 2 race leaders. However, again, we'll have the benefit of being, being 7 seconds up the road. So, yeah, it is going to be an interesting one. So, have to wait and see. Does Maurice react this lap? So, Maurice is only 4 laps though. 5 laps is the offset, so not really so much of an offset. I imagine we want to give 7 laps, but I think Maurice is in. So Maurice has come in, he's decided to call it quits on that, and 5 laps, is that going to be enough of an offset? Then obviously we'll probably be going on to the softs. Chartman is also in, so Chartman has now boxed. I imagine he'll be going on softs. And Maurice only going on mediums. Okay, so that isn't really the strategy I expected. I expected he would have gone for softs because he's gone to lap 23. I mean, he probably could do softs from there. I don't know. For me, I would have gone softs just to try. Obviously, it is about a 5.5 second gap, but for Mahoney, he's getting held up by the Haas driver here, so yeah, it's getting a bit delayed. So who's going to win obviously this one? Should be all down to this actually, really, in the end, because that Haas on 15 lap old tyres isn't willing to give up the track position. So I think Mahoney's going to have to send one, and still not finding a way through. And whilst that's happening actually, Maurice has railed in about a second already on this lap, so yeah, this is bad news for Mahoney because he's really losing a lot of time to the cars behind, and yeah, he needs to get this move done. This is a now or a never move, as then the Haas driver has decided to come into pits. And I tell you what, if I was Mahoo, I'd be absolutely screaming under well, in obviously my race chair, I'll be absolutely screaming because poor Mahoo, he's just been delayed for no reason, you know, basically there, absolutely no reason by Redabout to, you know, race like that or to, you know, keep things away. And that's cost Mahoo about 1.5 seconds, which he's not going to get back. Effectively, he's probably not going to get that 1.5 seconds back. So for Mahoo, you know, being on the older tyres by 5 laps, you know, is quite a bit of a significant factor. And for Maurice, that is going to be, well, it's going to be music to his ears, obviously, to see that. But yeah, I'd be absolutely mad right now. But I suppose he's just got to keep his composure and continue on, because either way, worst result he's going to get here is a P2, irrespective of that. So he's just got to keep his composure and just try and pump in lap times now until the end of the race. Obviously, even though Maurice is going to be quicker, however, the thing is for Maurice, can he obviously can he, you know, just rock up to the back of the McLaren and overtake? That is going to be a big factor also in this race. However, is taken out about half a second per lap right now, and in fact is almost taken out a second further on this lap.
Yeah? What?
Can she use a dressing gown? She's really cold.
So, lap 25 of the Grand Prix, and we are now on, and obviously Mahoo still leads. That gap is coming down quite fast, quite rapidly, and we probably might see a change for the lead then very shortly. Everyone else has gone on to the softs. Red Bells has actually got ahead of Chartman. So he's ahead of the Mercedes. Those Mercedes were running pretty much in 3rd and 4th, but now they're running in 3rd and 5th. So for obviously Red Belt to be quick as well, only got 1 lap difference to Vine. Vine will have the better, more endurable tyre here towards the end of the race, but to be fair, I'm not sure if that is going to work out for the Vine. We'll have to wait and see. Vine is a very quick driver, to be fair. So the battle for P1 is closing very rapidly, as we can see, and yep, that battle is now down to a second. So this probably is going to be the final lap where maybe Maurice doesn't have the DRS then in a lot of these corners. Maurice is going to have DRS now though, so he is going to pick up that DRS, more drag reduction, and will have just an extra straight line speed down the main straight. However, isn't taking much out of Mahoo down that straight, and in fact Mahoo actually extended his lead a little bit then from the race leader, or from P2, sorry. So, lap 27, and the gap is now half a second. So, this is going to be probably the toughest part of the race for Maurice. So, how quickly can he now get past his rival? If he can make the pass immediately, then that will be good, and that should be the race win secured. But, if not, then how long, how many laps will he be stuck? Obviously, the DRS is going to have the better traction out of the tyres. Then here we go then on to lap 28, and we've now got Maurice back in the lead of the Grand Prix, and in the end it was a pretty smooth sailing pass for then the Alfa Romeo driver over the McLaren, and he is now ahead of the McLaren of Mahoo. He's done a really good job. Got to be said though today. Unfortunately, just not seemingly going to be his day then here in Zandvoort at the Dutch Grand Prix, or for the Dutch race, or for the Dutch round, and yeah, just not going to be his one for today, unfortunately. The Red Alps is in P4, currently chasing Divine. What can he do? Currently not much actually has changed there last time I checked. Gap might have come down slightly, but don't really seem like it's come down too much. Seems like Divine probably has got that covered. I'm going to assume Divine's got it covered. However, actually, to be fair, Mahoo hasn't, well, Maurice hasn't pulled away, so are we going to see a re-overtake for the lead of the Grand Prix? We might do as we go into turn 1. Obviously, Maurice is on the inside, Mahoo's on the outside. Mahoo goes sweeping around the outside of the Alpha and retakes this Grand Prix with 7 or 8 laps to go, whatever you want to say. But Maurice is now battling away. Maurice is going to be trying to hurry the McLaren driver, because them two are really going to have a ding-dong battle potentially then here towards the end of this race. If that's the way things go. But yeah, Mahoo found just a little bit of extra tyres, kept it within a second, and retook the lead of the Grand Prix once more. So I didn't expect that. I expected Maurice to just kind of walk off into the distance, but instead it seems like Maurice is going to have to get this pass done on the track, and that's not going to be good for Maurice actually, to be fair, because every lap he's behind, obviously he will be hurting his tyres a little bit more than the McLaren following in the dirty air. So what does Mahoo do this time? Can Mahoo defend off the Alfa Romeo? Here comes the Alfa Romeo to the outside, but as we get into turn 1, Mahoo actually is still remaining ahead through turn 1. So that time around, it's still Mahoo who is the winner out of this one. So yeah, this isn't really good for the Alfa Romeo. This is actually bad news for the Alfa. I really didn't see that coming, because I thought that just Maurice would, you know, just kind of just overtake, what that overtake done, and then I just thought he would leave the McLaren to start, but instead, no, that isn't what happened. Some of the battles between Divine and Red Belt, obviously, does seem like Red Belt is now dropping slightly off the back of Divine, so I think that one is over. Any other battles we've got out there? Obviously, we've got ACC following right now over, who currently does seem to have P6 pretty settled down. No other real ones, maybe Brass Monkeys and Barrow at the back here, 4 P10 and P9. Are we going to see a move in turn 1? I think we may. Let's have a slight look. In fact, the door was left open by Brass Monkeys. unnecessarily, and he's now ahead. And in fact, that move for Press Monkeys is probably a really, really good move in this race, because he is now up into 9th and is on significantly better tyres at this stage of the Grand Prix. So, Mahoo still is ahead of your P2, Maurice, who is right now, well, I think, to be fair, he might have spent that tyre advantage now. He's been stuck behind a couple of laps now, and quite truthfully, the more laps he's behind, the worse his tyres are just going to get, because, you know, effectively, I don't really know how much it is in the game in terms of values, but obviously in real life, if you're behind another car, you're effectively losing front downforce, you're scrubbing more speed as you go through the corners. Effectively, you're almost sliding everywhere, and when you're sliding on a slick, that's not really good, and you lose a lot of grip. So that's the outcome. But we might see then a pass once again, then for the lead of Grand Prix, and this time it's Maurice going around the outside, then as we head into turn 2, and Maurice is through up into the lead. So once again, Maurice then retakes the lead of the Grand Prix. Can Maurice now do what he did, or do what he didn't do the last time, and pull away? If he can do that, then obviously that'd be good for his race. If not, then, you know, he's going to be in a bit of bother, but we'll have to wait and see. So, lap 32, that we're on, and pretty much this is actually the closest battle on the track, so might as well just keep on this at the moment. No real other close battles on the track. Sparrow is catching Martino, however Martino is over a good number of seconds off the lead at the moment, as a lap car is getting lapped by the race leaders. So, right, Mahoo is going to go then for it again, is he? Obviously got the DRS, is catching, still catching. Obviously into turn 1 we go, and Mahoo and Maurice have come together. Now, I don't think Mahoo was actually at fault. Obviously, we'll have to see a different point of view. I'm sure we'll see that different point of view a bit later on. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure actually Maurice was at fault. Sorry, Mahoo was at fault for that. Just seems a bit of a racing incident at first glance. With Mahoo on the inside there.
What the hell?
And Mahoo had the DRS, went for it. Obviously, maybe understood a little bit into Maurice, but overall it's probably for the car on the outside to recognise that and to back out, or to, you know, make sure they don't make contact, because obviously Mahoo was halfway, well, was halfway ahead at the apex effectively. So yeah, it's pretty much the situation. But to be fair to Mahoo, he has slowed down and given back the gap. So yeah, to be fair to Mahoo, fair sportsmanship by him. He's actually, you know, decided, you know, if he's going to win this race, I suppose, he wants to do it fair, and clearly he felt bad about that, and yeah, a lot of credit where credit is due to Mahoo in showing good sport, what he can be, and he's obviously, I presume now, deciding to get on with it again, but obviously still, I don't know if Maurice got any damage. Don't appear to be any damage on the Alfa Romeo. I suppose there's still the argument that damage would be done to the tyres, you could make, I guess. But they will have suffered a bit of wear, probably, after a half spin like that. But yeah, for Mahoo, he did give back the gap on the track and decided not to benefit out of it, which you have to respect. Obviously, I do think he had the right to stay ahead, which is understandable, but then he will pull away once more and will now try and open up a bigger lead into the final couple of laps as we go then. So lap 35 is about to be commenced. Martino is now up to 8th, was in 8th pretty sure before, but yeah, that gap between Martino and Sparrow seems to have plateaued out now. Doesn't seem up Sparrow is catching anymore. Any other gaps to report on? Not really. Red belts, boy. To be fair, actually, Oren is catching Chartman, so that one could be going down to the last lap, potentially here. So what can Chartman do in his defence? Who's seemingly now pulled away a little bit from the Alfa Romeo, and now does seem to potentially have that one covered off in these final couple of laps. So I think Mahoo's got the race win here, obviously pending steward inquiries, of course. So yeah, there probably is going to be a number of steward reports this evening, but yeah, like, you never know. But yeah, pending any steward outcomes, I think Mahoo's going to win at least on the track then here, with Divine in 3rd place. So Oren is going to then be on the back then of then Chartman with half a lap, 1.5 laps to go. Here we go then. Pretty much they're both evenly on even compounded tyres, both on softs, both on over double-digit figures in terms of laps, in terms of tyre wear. Chartman slightly on the older compounded tyres. What can Chartman do? He's not got much battery to deploy down this straight. However, Owen has got a lot of battery, plus got the DRS. Here we go then, for a move for P5 in this race. He's going to get the P5, going to pull ahead nicely as we go into the first corner, and Chartman, unfortunately, will not get a top 5, will be behind as we head into turn 1, and Chartman will be fuming. Well, I don't think we'll be fuming, but we'll be annoyed. He couldn't get P5 then here, unfortunately. But we go back to our race leader, Mahoo, who I think has driven superbly today. He's going to take the win on the track, obviously pending any outcomes, but he is going to take the win. A win's a win. He's done it on the track either way. I'm sure he'll be pleased with the result, as he's going to then come around the final couple of corners, round the final corner, around the embankment then, and is going to then cross the line in P1, takes the win in the Netherlands. Maurice comes home P2. Divine will take home the final podium spot then in P3. Redabouts is going to take home a P4 for the Haas F1 team then, and it's going to be Oren ahead of then Chartman, and it'll be then Chartman behind then the McLaren, who will finish in 5th, Chartman in 6th. AP will come home in 7th for the Ferrari, only Ferrari out there and the only Ferrari point scorer, so very nice, decent result from him. Then we've got Martino, the only Alpine driver, who will come home in 8th. Not sure how he'll feel about this one or whatever, but yeah, 8th place for Martino. Then you got Sparrow in 9th, and he will be the final finisher on the track because the other driver, Brass Monkeys, was unfortunately a lap down. So Brass Monkeys comes across the line and completes today's race. So that has been Phoenix Division 2 for today in the Netherlands, round 3. Until probably Wednesday for my race in Phoenix, we will see you then on Thursday. Please subscribe, like and share the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Trying to get to 450 subscribers by the end of the year, maybe even more, and see you all next time for another F1 2023 Liga race.
What, like?
Turn your phone on.
It's literally what it sounds like.
Join me on Wednesday, 8 o'clock. I was completing the same track with the Phoenix Racing Division 1. 8 o'clock Wednesday.